Good evening, and welcome to the July 28th, 2025 Zoning Board of Appeals hearing. Before the hearing starts, I will introduce the board. To my left is the clerk, Ken Scholes. To his left is John Bowner, who in a minute will be the chair. To his left is Ken Jarvinen. To his left is Becky Kilborn. And finally, at the end, is Kevin Berich. From our planning department, we have Brian Zakelli, who's our planning director. And as of this moment, I am the chair, and my name is Corrine Doherty. The first order of business tonight will be approving the minutes from the last meeting, and then we will have our board changeover. It's just something that we do every year at this time. And when Mr. Bowner is motioned in as the new chair, he will give you the procedures for the evening. So with that, are all board members in receipt of the minutes from the June 23rd, 2025 meeting?
Yes.
Yes, Madam Chair.
And do I have any comments or edits?
Madam Chair, I did feed back some minor edits to the planning department, which they already corrected.
Okay, perfect. Do I have a motion to accept those minutes?
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So the motion passes. Now we have a motion to change the chair from myself to Mr. Bowner. Do I have a motion?
I'll second the motion.
Someone's going to make it.
Get him,
first.
someone
I
has to
made
make
it. I'm sorry. I make a motion that John Bowner becomes the new chairman of the Zoning Board of Appeals, and Corinne Doherty is just on the board
Correct,
itself.
correct.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So the motion passes. So I pass the gavel on to John.
Thank you, Corrine. And before we get going, I just want to thank Corrine for a fine year of service to the town and also to this board. She's been an excellent leader. So thank you, Corrine.
You're welcome.
Folks, welcome to tonight's meeting. I'm going to briefly go over how we run things, especially for people that are new here. I would ask first, though, that you take a moment to either shut your cell phone or mobile phones off or put them on silent so we're not interrupted. As Corrine has mentioned, she already introduced the board and our planning director. What we ask is, because we are not only on Danvers Cable, but also for our minute-taking ability, if you have a comment or would like to speak, we would like you to go to the microphone and state where you're from, your address, and your name clearly. Please don't speak from your seats. Not only can the people at home not hear it on the cable, but we can't get it on the minutes. When the clerk calls your case, the applicants, we ask that you do go to the podium. Again, identify yourself, explain to us what you'd like to do. From there, I will turn it over to the board to ask you questions. Once the board has finished with asking questions, we will then open it up to the public. Again, raise your hand, identify yourself at the podium. I'll call upon you. Please direct your questions through the chair and not to the applicant. And, we'll try to get through all this. And at that point, we will close the public comment once we have heard from everyone. And at that point, we will turn it back over to the board. You will hear our deliberations. This is an open public meeting. And we'll give you your options at that point, depending on how the votes are going. And with that said, Mr. Chair, we'll get started with our first case.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Our first case is a continued case, 20 Pope's Lane. It is a highway corridor zone. Request a special permit to allow for 2 storage containers to be placed on the property for over 6 months in a calendar year. The intention for these is to be permanent structures on the site. The request is made by EDM Construction, care of Sean McGill, docket 25-5094.
And I think I understand Mr. Zakelli, Attorney McCann, is joining us on Zoom. So, Attorney McCann, if you'd like to speak, tell us what's up.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, board members. My name is Nancy McCann, an attorney, and I have been retained by the applicant EDM construction company. They had originally filed on their own an application for 2 storage containers to be on the property for longer than 6 months. They appeared one time before this board, and then the board gave them some feedback. I have looked at that tape, and the applicant has retained my services to assist them. And in so doing, I have spoken with the applicant. I've spoken also with Mr. Zakelli, and it appears that the application as filed by the applicant does not correctly describe what the applicant is looking for, and the application needs a bit more information. So it would have to be re-advertised. So what I have submitted to you is a letter for this evening requesting to withdraw the application as submitted, and I anticipate that I will be refiling the application with the correct proposal to you probably within a month.
Thank you, Attorney McCann. Before I open it up for a vote, I would just like to point out, as you know, and you said you reviewed the tape, this application was before us in March. I feel, and I speak for just myself, not the entire board, that, you know, this has kind of been dragged along quite a bit. I thought the direction of the board back in March was real clear to the applicant. So I guess I don't want to see this open-ended. I feel like this has gone on long enough. I believe they're in violation at this site. So can we put some kind of time frame on filing? And can you just describe what will be different about the application you're going to file versus what has already been filed?
I think we can put a time frame on. As I indicated, I think I will be filing on behalf of this applicant within a month. And the application will address the fact that there are some existing storage containers that have been on the site for a long time, as well as some additional storage containers that the applicant will be looking for. I believe, Mr. Chairman, you had raised the issue of some existing storage containers on the site, and the application will address that. The application will also address the comments that various board members made during that initial hearing with regard to timing and screening and all of those items. But I anticipate filing that within the month. And I will say, as you mentioned, the time frame, the applicant has had a very serious injury that occurred in May into June, that resulted in some hospitalization. She is now, just as of last week, mobile again using a walker. So there has been some personal issues related to the time frame as well that I wasn't going to mention, but as long as you brought up concern about the timing, that has been impactful.
Okay, well, thank you for that. And sorry to hear about that with the applicant. Normally, we would just make a motion and withdraw without prejudice, but do you feel it's, do you need any questions or comments from this board before I do that?
No, I don't think so. We've requested that we be able to withdraw without prejudice so that we can come back again to you with a full correct application.
Very good. Board members, could I get a motion for a withdrawal? Somebody.
I make a motion to accept or to allow the motion to withdraw
Without prejudice.
without prejudice.
I second.
I've got a motion, and I've got a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Very good. We'll
Thank you
watch for
very
that
much.
next application. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Ken, go
Ready?
right ahead. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Our next case is 24 Foster Street. This is zoned R2. Request to modify an existing variance docket T-1374 to allow living space on an accessory structure. The request is made by Todd Bigger, docket 25-5106.
And before you get started, I just want to point out Becky and Kevin are alternates, and Becky will be voting on this case as a regular voting member. And with that said, go ahead.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. My name is Todd Bigger. I'm representing the owner of 24 Foster Street. I was hired to construct a bathroom, and in my due diligence, I found there was a variance on the property and some restrictions. So we're here to hopefully take care of that. It's a garage, two-story garage addition that was built 45 years ago, and in the deed, or in the variance that was obtained to construct that garage, there was a restriction that it could only be used for storage on the second floor.
We weren't on that board.
Now, I know. And
Much different
I didn't build it
landscape
either.
nowadays, isn't it? So I guess you're just looking to turn this into living space.
That is correct.
Do you have anything else you'd like to add?
No, sir.
I'm just going to turn it over to the board for questions. We'll start with you, Corinne.
What is the intention with this additional space?
The family has, my client is 85 years old and has gotten to the point where she could use somebody living in the house with her, and to adequately provide a living area for, as a bedroom and a bathroom for that caregiver. This is the most economic way to do it in this, on the property.
Mr. Chair, if I could go out to the planning director.
Sure, go right ahead.
I was reading the memo from the Public Works Department, and it did state that in order to convert the storage space, the project may require a water and sewer permit if separate utility connections are required for the house. Does that mean that the internal wouldn't be able to, I guess, piped up to that addition, so it would need additional connections?
I think this is if it was going to be a full separate unit, it would need to have fully separate utilities. But that's not the case here. This is just increased living space.
Right.
I don't know if you've talked with Water and Sewer Department, but I believe that they're kind of covering it, well, just in case this is either
Oh, I
an
see.
accessory dwelling unit, is this an F-float, like what is this? And it's just increased living space.
All right, I wasn't sure, just because of where the garage is, if they would need those additional either water or sewer pipes into that separate unit. So, okay, and as long as you're aware of that, then, since you are doing the construction, then that's fine. I'm all set. Thank you.
Thank you, Corinne. Ken?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, Brian, so we can't consider this an ADU?
It's definitely not.
It's just a
'Cause it's not separate
added-on
utilities.
living area.
Yeah, the only reason that they're here is because in 84,
Yeah,
No, you
they
were
went
right,
through.
88.
The garage, you can see, is 4.5 feet,
Yeah.
I can blow it up, but it's 4.5 feet away, so they had to get permission for that. And in that hearing, they said, okay, you can go 4.5, but only storage on the second floor.
Yeah.
So that's why they're here. There's not like any other
because
code,
of the
building code,
decision.
or
Okay.
anything that touches our zoning bylaw. It's simply that dimensional variance that said what that talked about the use.
Okay. And what's the, Mr. Bigger, what's the ingress and egress out of this living area above the garage? How do they get around and up and down?
There is currently a stairway on the rear interior, and it goes directly into the first floor of the house.
It doesn't go into the garage.
There's no separate entrance, there's no, for it. It is an integral part of the house already.
And it's interior?
Interior.
Thank you.
I don't think I have anything else. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. And Ken J.
So it's basically, you're not going outside the original scope of the plan. I mean, you're not going to go any closer to the side setback.
Correct,
or
there's
anything,
no
just-
change to the exterior of the building. It's all interior, second floor.
And you're not going any higher.
Negative, yeah.
Okay, I have no other questions.
Thank you. Becky?
I just want to confirm it's just a bedroom and a bathroom. There's no kitchen.
There may be a wet bar we proposed in the drawing. that
Okay.
There could be a wet bar, but it's really just
You're
microwave,
not looking for a
sink.
full kitchen. Okay.
Yeah.
And the square footage is 380, is that about that? Is that?
I guess even less, actually, right?
Like somewhere 340.
342, I thought.
340 or something, okay.
Yes, 380.
Okay, all right. Thank you, that's all I have.
Thank you, Becky. And Kevin?
Yeah, it does strike me that we are one oven range combo away from treating this very differently. So although it occurs to me, like, I drove by the house today to view it from the street. It looked like there was a window air conditioner in the top floor of the garage, so this isn't a question, it's just a statement. I suspect that perhaps this has already become living space.
I don't know that. It gets hot in there, so it's,
Okay.
You have a question, Kevin?
Yeah, for staff, if you don't mind, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, sure. Go
So,
ahead.
I guess, when this condition was put on in 1980 some odd,
Yep. 88.
88, so what finding were they trying to get to or be able to get to by putting this condition on? Like, did they think that they were going to substantially derogate from the purpose and intent of the zoning bylaw without this condition?
No, to be honest, so we could not find the minutes for this specific hearing, which was kind of a problem. But from talking with other staff members about like just a kind of a history of in the 80s and 90s, this was a typical thing where, and Becky's nodding, so maybe she can add as well. But basically, it was kind of a practice where if you're getting too close to the property line, that's when, if someone's living there, it's potentially more impactful. Again, just like the chair said, things have changed and now there's ADUs and there's, EFLAs were not allowed at the time, these extended family living here, like, nothing was allowed. So I think the only thing I can say was that it was kind of routine practice at the time.
Understood, thank you.
And I think, Kevin, maybe to expand on that, they were probably trying to prevent it from becoming an illegal in-law or a rented space. So that's why they put that condition on it, to say, hey, we're not going to allow you to do anything but storage here, at least by the letter of the law. So I think Mr. Bigger, all my questions were answered. I think this seems pretty standard. You are clear with our EFLA bylaw and the new ADU regulations that are out there. So I'll just make a statement that, if it were to be an in-law, there's rules around that, which is our EFLA, and then, of course, an ADU, as Mr. Zakelli has pointed out, would be total separate utilities, et cetera, which changes it significantly as well. So with that said, no other questions out of the board. I'll go out to the public. Would anyone like to speak on 24 Foster Street? Yes. Come on up.
Bill Bryant Street, Town Meeting Member, Precinct 1. My only question is, this room is far enough away from an exit to the outside using the steps. Is there a safety issue there with the placement of this living space where it is?
It's a good question. I think I know the answer, but I'll probably refer to our planning director. I would assume through the permitting process that they will ensure that is that they're happy that the egress is safe. But I will refer to Brian on that.
It has to be compliant with the building code.
Has to be compliant with the building code. And if it isn't, they won't allow it. So, good?
Yeah.
Very good. Anyone else on 24 Foster Street? Seeing none, I will come back to the board and we will deliberate. And we'll start down there with you, Corinne.
I would vote for this, and by way of a comment, it's pretty evident that even though if we do grant this, that it is for a caretaker, maybe a family member, and that this, in the condition that it's in, could never be like a rental to like a non-family member. So that's just my comment, but I would vote for this.
Thank you, Corinne. Kevin?
And I'll vote for this too. There's no bathroom or anything like that other than the wet bar.
No, I think they have.
No, no, there is a
Bathroom.
bathroom.
Are they adding a bathroom?
Yeah.
Bathroom, bedroom, no
Bed bath.
kitchen.
No kitchen,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'll vote for this.
Thank you, Ken. Ken J.
I'm good with this, too. I'll
the
vote
same
vote for it.
Very good. And Becky.
I'll vote for this. This is a reasonable request.
And Kevin.
I'm not voting, but if I were, I'd vote for it.
Very good. And I, too, will vote in favor of this application. Could I get a motion, please?
I don't even know if I printed that out. I did. Sorry.
I will read it. I make a motion to modify an existing variance docket T-1374 to allow living space in an accessory structure, and that, 1, the proposed extension, alteration of the use is not substantially more detrimental than the existing structure to the neighborhood. 2, adjacent properties would not be adversely impacted. And 3, the reduced dimensions would not be detrimental to the public good and would not substantially deviate from the intent or purpose of this bylaw.
I've got a motion. Can I have a 2nd?
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? You got it. Just see the building department for permitting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Clerk, we'll go on to our next case.
Our next case is 14 Laurel Street, zoned R1. I am going to recuse myself of this.
Yes.
Case.
I will have Kevin, and you will sit on your first case tonight.
All right.
And Karine, if you could clerk in Ken's absence on this case.
Yes, 14 Laurel Street, R1, map 58, lot 090. Requests a finding to construct an addition to an existing garage that will be located closer to the rear property line than permitted as of right, 3.6 feet where 8 feet is required. Request made by Dwayne Morin, docket number 25-5107.
Mr. Moran, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and Board. My name is Dwayne Moran. I live at 14 Laurel Street. I'm looking to add a 13 by 20-foot addition to my existing garage for purposes of storage.
And that's about the size of it. Okay, and we're going to encroach the setback to do that
You're following the contour of the existing garage,
Yeah.
the back of the garage.
in the rear.
The rear. The
Very
setback to
good.
the left is.
Okay, I'm going to open it up to questions from the board. We're going to start down there with you, Kevin.
I guess even, is there going to be, maybe I'm reading the plot plan wrong, but is there going to be a connection between the addition that you're putting onto the garage and the main home?
No. No.
Okay. And
Not at
then,
all, no.
and then a question for staff, if I
Yes, go ahead.
may. So I think for an accessory structure, there's a certain, relative to the size of the main dwelling, the accessory structure can only be so big to then not be an accessory structure anymore, correct?
Technically, I don't think it matters. You're allowed to build a garage 40 by 30, regardless of the size of
Size
the
of the home.
house, I believe, yep.
Okay. No further questions, thanks.
Thank you, Kevin. Becky?
Hi, I did visit the property. Can you explain what you have there now, that canvas hut, and
Yes, it's-
what your intention is for that?
That's an old Quonset hut that I've been using for storage for probably 11, 12 years. And it's falling down, it's ugly, it's not waterproof. And so I want to store a classic car, and that's the purpose of the addition. So I need to get rid of the Quonset. It will come down and go away. And
It'll be gone, it
will be
won't,
no,
you're not
it won't be
planning?
moved to the side, it will be completely gone.
Okay, okay. Is the new addition approximately size of that, or smaller?
The Quonset hut currently is 13 by 20, so it's basically the same size.
Okay, all right. It's very, very tight to get back there. Are you able to pull a vehicle in there, or?
So the existing garage is deeper. This is going to actually set back from
Okay.
the existing
I see that
garage,
on the
which
plan.
gives me a little bit more of a swing. And to be honest, the car that I'm putting in there is maybe 12 feet long it's a tiny car and a motorcycle. So there's
Okay.
plenty of room to swing in and out.
All right. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Becky. Ken?
Becky asked my questions about the temporary garage structure. So it looks like, yeah, you're gonna be removing that and putting this there, so I have no other questions.
Thank you, Ken.
Yep.
Ken, are you confused? Karine?
Becky actually asked my question as well, and I also had a question about the swing of your car or whatever you were going to store in there. So it seems as if you've already taken all of that into consideration.
Yes.
So I have no further questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Karine. I will actually go out to you, Brian, on this, because I kind of vaguely remember a case we recently had. There's a certain distance that has to be between the structures, and for some reason I remember, is it 10 feet?
It's not an official regulation, but 10 feet has been the rule.
I see. And I guess, Mr. Moore, do you know what the distance is from your home to this new addition? Approximate will be
It will
fine.
be more than what's existing right now,
Oh, because it's set back.
because it's set back from the existing garage.
And,
by 4 feet.
okay. And does the rear setback of 3.6, does that include any, I should ask it this way, is there an overhang to the garage currently, and will this match it?
The roof is going to go another angle, so the current roof, the new roof is going to go the other
So they'll
angle.
look like one roof on the back side of the building?
Yes, yes.
And I think there'll be a pass-through door from the
There-
existing garage to the new one?
There currently is a
Yes.
side door, and so.
And that's going to stay?
Yes,
And that'll be how, if the garage doors are closed, you go from one side to the other?
correct.
Okay, and I think my questions were answered on the tightness of the swing, so.
Can I just ask one more?
Yeah, sure, go ahead, Becky.
I just wanted to know if you spoke to your neighbor in the back about this addition?
The man directly behind I spoke to,
Okay,
and he didn't have anything positive or negative to say about it.
okay. All right, we'll see if any of your neighbors are here. Okay,
All
thank
right,
you.
any other questions? Yeah, you're welcome, Becky. Any other questions from the board?
Not now, thanks.
If not, okay, we'll open this up to the public, and we are here on 14 Laurel Street. Anybody here would like to speak on 14 Laurel Street? Seeing, hearing none, I will come back to the board, and we will deliberate. And you, Kevin, you are voting, so go for it, my friend.
So I think the non-conforming setback is not getting any closer, but clearly the building is getting larger. And so then we're down to the word substantial, I think, from our zoning bylaws. So I do not think that this is substantial in that sense. I do worry that now we have an accessory structure that is essentially as large as the main dwelling. And so I think that the scope and scale of that may be a little bit out of whack, where we start to stretch the limit of what accessory means. So those are my thoughts.
Are you for or against?
I think ultimately I'm for, but with a little bit of hesitation.
Sure, okay. Becky?
I think that this new structure will be much more attractive than what currently exists there. Not that that should be the reason for building an addition, and you're giving up your backyard to do this, but I think it's reasonable and not more significant than what's there, so I would be in favor.
Thank you, Becky. And Ken?
Yeah, you're not going further, closer, squeezing the setback any more than it already is with the temporary, and it's in line with the other garage, so I'm fine with that. I'd vote for this.
Thank you, Ken. Karine?
I agree with the other board members in the fact that you're not getting closer to either the back property line and you're not closing in on your neighbor to the side is definitely a plus for you. And basically, you're just taking up more of your backyard space. So I would be a yes on this.
Thank you, Karine. And I, too, will vote in favor of this. I'm thinking on my site visit, seeing your classic car parked in your backyard, I think you prefer that over the yard. So I think this is minimally invasive. It stays in line with the existing setback, so I don't have a problem with this. I will vote in favor. Could I get a motion, please?
I make a motion to issue a finding to construct an addition to an existing garage that will be located closer to the rear property line than permitted as of right, 3.6 feet where 8 is required, and that the proposed extension, alteration of the use is not substantially more detrimental than the existing structure to the neighborhood.
I second.
I've got a motion and I've got a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? It passes, and good luck. See the planning department.
Thank you very much for your time. Have a good night.
You got it.
Thank you.
Folks, we are going to jump over 342, Andover. I think a lot of people are here on that. We are going to go to 30 Neal Road and put that case before us next and hold 342 for the end. So, Mr. Clerk, if we could read in 30 Neal Road.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. 30 Neal Road, zoned R3, map 21, lot 128. Requests a finding to tear down the existing non-conforming house and build a new house that will encroach further into the side setback at 12 feet 8 inches, where 20 feet is required. The request is made by Daniel Abelo, care of MNG Neal Road Realty Trust, Laurel and Michael Galasso, docket 25-5109.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening. My name is Danielle Abelo. I'm an architect with Carpenter and McNeil, and I am here for 30 Neal Road, as we just heard. 30 Neal Road is currently a 2-story single-family home in an R3 district, and we are looking to tear down the home to the first floor deck. We will retain the foundation and build a 1-story home on top of that. The existing foundation is currently non-conforming within the side setback. So while our foundation doesn't change, our overhang, our roof eave is larger than the existing overhang, and that's why we're here today. Our existing side setback is about 16.1 feet and not our 20 required feet. And our new side setback will be 12.8 feet, and that comes down to a new hipped roof instead of the current gable that is there.
Does that include the overhang?
That includes the overhang.
And I'm sorry, side setbacks going from 16 down to 12.
12.8. 12.8.
Thank you. Anything else you want to highlight?
No, I think it's, possibly worth mentioning, we have a new addition on the west side of the property as well, but that is fully conforming. We have situated that so it meets all dimensional requirements.
Okay, and I will point out, our town engineer, engineering letter said this is going to require stormwater permit, and you're aware of that.
Yes, I actually had my civil engineer speak to him today, and because our foundation is existing and our new foundation is less than 50%, he said that was I don't know their mistake is the right word, but that he misunderstood the requirements of the project.
Interesting. I'll go out to, before I turn it over to the board, let me go out to our planning director. Are you aware of that? Or is this new information,
I
I
was
guess?
certainly aware of the memo.
Yeah.
I did not know.
That was the call this afternoon.
Yeah, I didn't know that they had talked, but that does make sense.
Yes,
Okay.
but we do have the civil engineer on call, so we will work through that.
Very good. All right, I'm going to turn it over to the board for questions. All right, Green, we'll start with you.
It appears, I did a site view, it appears that you are ready to begin this project, is
We
that
are.
true?
We are.
And what is the time frame for, start to completion?
It is about 10 months, I believe. I believe the timeline has us wrapping up next, maybe end of May, beginning of June, is the current timeline.
Okay, and I assume the first thing you would have to do is apply for the demo permit?
We have a demo permit in hand.
Oh, okay. All right, no further questions, thank you.
Thanks, Green. Ken?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Was there any consideration in maybe easing back towards the southerly bound of the lot, just to gain a little more of that side setback?
In terms of lessening the overhang?
No, I mean, the whole project, just moving it back to the southerly side of the lot.
The foundation exists.
So you're sticking with the original foundation?
Yes, we are not removing the
Gotcha,
foundation.
thank you, that finishes that question. I don't think I have anything else, thank you.
Thanks, Ken. Ken J.
So the house looks nice as it is. It's a nice brick structure. So, I mean, I was just trying to grasp why you would tear that down.
The clients are looking to age in place. They'd like one-story living, and they want a smaller home overall, but they love the property. They've been there for many years, and they'd like to remain.
Okay, I have no other questions.
Thank you, Ken. Becky?
I also did a site visit, and it's set way back, and I
It's
can
very
see
far
why,
back.
why they want to stay there. So we're looking at about 3 feet difference? and,
Yes.
Okay, that's all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Becky. Kevin?
No questions, thank you.
Thank you. I have a couple. One is what the square footage of the current house and what will the new home be?
The current home, I believe, is a little over 6,000 square feet. The existing, the proposed home is about 5,000 square feet. That includes all garage and basement space.
Okay, so that's not all living space.
Correct.
And we talked about stormwater management. I mean, it's more on the common side. I echo what Ken said. I mean, it is a, maybe a little bit dated of a home, but it doesn't look like something I'd want to tear down. However, I guess I really don't have any additional questions. I can see the setback issue. Those lots in general on Neal Road have short backyards, a lot of them, and I think our former town manager actually used to live on Neal Road. I don't believe it here, though. All right, with that said, any additional questions from the board? Hearing none, I'll go out to the public on this. We're here for 30 Neal Road. Anybody have any questions? Yeah, sure, come on up.
Chairman and member of the board, my name is Bob Ledoux. I live at 22 Neal Road, and I know the people that own the house, the very nice neighbors. I was surprised, too, because it's a beautiful home.
Sure.
And I thought, my God, what are they doing to it? But they want, I talked to Laurel and Mike today, and they say they want to age in place. So I certainly have no objection to what they've requested.
Very good. You are in favor.
I am in favor.
Very good.
And when I was sitting on this board
Okay.
in the 90s, our meeting started at 7 and always ended at 11. Because we had PetSmart,
Yeah.
Walmart.
All of them, huh?
Oh, yeah. It was unreal.
We haven't had any of those long ones in a while, but I'll thank Brian for that. He takes the brunt of it during the day.
Well, I also sat on the Board of Appeals in Hamilton
Oh,
and the Planning Board in Salem,
okay.
and I was the city solicitor in Salem, so I'm very familiar with
Very
zoning.
good. Well, thank you for everything, and thank you for your comments. Appreciate it. Anyone else? Yeah, go ahead. Just head up to the microphone, identify yourself.
Hi, my name is Stephen Swanson, and I live at 28 Neal Road.
Direct to butter.
Direct abutter.
Yep.
I just have one question. The reduced space is on the 28 Neal Road
To the
side?
chair, please. Yeah.
Excuse me? Oh, sorry.
Ask your
Sorry,
questions
sorry.
up here, yeah.
The reduced space, the 3 feet, is on the 28 Neal Road side of the property?
We can get a clarification on that. Your question is where the setbacks encroached further?
Yes,
Very good.
yes.
Yeah, applicant, would you like to answer?
It is on the Neal Road side, on the 28 Neal Road side. As we're looking at it on the screen, it is to our right. The further encroachment is the roof eave only. The building does not grow. It is only the eave that grows.
So it's just the overhang.
Just the overhang.
Does that make sense? It's not the structure itself, it's just up at the roof. Yeah.
That being said, we're fine with it.
You're in favor of it. Very good. Thank you. Anyone else here on 30 Neal Road? Hearing none, we will come back up to the board and we will deliberate. Corinne, I believe I started with you.
Yes, actually, I love the design of the new home, so very nice job. I haven't been down that road in a while, and I used to be down there a lot more frequently in the past, and I was kind of surprised that a lot of homes in the neighborhood have seemed to either gone over like extensive renovations, so I just think this is another home on the street that's doing the same thing. So yes, I will vote for this.
Thank you, Corinne. And Ken?
Yes, I'll vote for this. I have no problem with this, and I'm pretty impressed with these plans.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. Ken J.
I'll vote for this as well.
Thank you, Ken.
I'll vote for this.
And Becky, thank you. And Kevin, although I know you're not voting, your thoughts?
I would vote for it if I could.
Okay, well, you got one under your belt
I got
tonight.
one.
Yeah, okay. And I too think, again, my at first appearance, as I said, it's kind of surprised, but I get it as someone who targeted a home that had minimal steps as an ex-football player. I can see not wanting to climb up on second floors. So I will vote in favor, and with that said, could I get a motion, please?
I make a motion to issue a finding to tear down the existing non-conforming house and build a new house that will encroach further into the side setback at 12.8 feet where 20 feet is required, and that the proposed extension, alteration of the use is not substantially more detrimental than the existing structure to the neighborhood.
I've
I'll
got a
second.
motion. I've got a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Very good. Good luck with the project.
Well,
Yep.
All right, and I know you're all here to go to the concert next door, right? Okay, Mr. Clerk, if you will.
Thank you. Our final case is 342 Andover Street. This is zoned R3, map 39, lot 010A. Request a finding to expand a pre-existing non-conforming use of the property to allow landscaping businesses that park in the rear of the property to also to be able to park in the front of the building. Additionally, an expansion of the use of the main building to allow other businesses to rent professional or general office space inside the building as the dental lab is no longer operational. The request is made by Guy Costanza, docket 25-5108.
Hey, good evening.
Yes, good evening. Thank you to the board for taking
Could
the
you just
time.
identify yourself for us, please?
Yes, sir. My name is Guy Costanza at 342 Andover Street in Danvers.
Thank you.
Shall I continue?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for hearing my request and taking the time to consider. Your summary basically echoes my sentiment. I am seeking to expand the use of the non-conforming use of the property to allow additional landscaping parking in the front of the property, as we already use it in the rear of the property, and we would like an appeal in consideration to expand that use, as well as the front office building that was formerly occupied by my father as a dental lab. Unfortunately, he passed away in December, and we are looking to rent that out to other professional businesses for general office space. And we hope it's considered non-detrimental in any way whatsoever to the property, and we will manage it as efficiently and professionally as possible, and your consideration is appreciated.
Thank you, and sorry to hear about your dad. Glad you're in here.
Thank you.
Trying to see if we can't get our arms around this.
Yes.
Before I turn it over to the board, I know there's extensive history on this address. Are you privy to all that information and prior decisions that were made by this board?
For the most part, yes, I am.
Okay, so I just want to make sure, that's clear and you're aware of that. I think I am going to open it up for questions, but I believe we're going to have some requests. So hopefully we can get through this. So
Certainly.
Kevin, we'll start with you.
So I did have a chance to drive along Cemetery Road and just kind of view the property from the street. It looked to me like perhaps there's some non-operational vehicles on the property. Is that the case?
There should not be.
Okay.
There was on your initial visit a few months ago. We've had them all removed, in addition to the campers that were there that were being stored. Those 3 have been completely removed. And to the best of my knowledge, all unregistered vehicles are removed from the property. If I find any more to be there, I will certainly instruct my tenants to remove them as soon as possible in accordance with your request.
And so I understand your request. You're asking for general office use. Do you have a particular kind of office use in mind? Or it could be an accountant, it could be a lawyer, it could be a...
An accountant would be very likely. We had one there years ago. Optimally, if I can find another dental lab similar to my father's to occupy that space, that would be the easiest path and be more consistent with the use of the past 33 years. But the business has changed quite a bit, so we would like the possibility for any other type of office space. It may be a landscape business that rents from us or a newer one to use it for their office or similar, with very little extra traffic, nothing retail or anything like that whatsoever.
Do you have any opportunity to, I mean, ultimately, this is zoned residential right now, right?
Okay.
So what we should be hoping for is that eventually nonconformance goes away and it returns to, or becomes the use that town meeting has zoned it for. So I guess, do you have any long-term plans for this property that it may eventually become residential, or are we just going to continually extend the non-conforming uses just little by little?
Okay, well, good question. I know we're taxed in a commercial rate, so I was under the impression we were split zoned, if that makes sense. We get commercial property tax rates for the past 30 years.
Can I ask staff to
yeah,
clarify, Mr.
yeah,
Chairman?
go ahead.
Based on
The assessor's records, they don't care about zoning.
Sure.
They just look at the use.
Fact that it's a business, yes. So you, just to clarify on that, so you are in R3.
Yes.
Which is a residential zone, but because a business operates there, the assessor's office taxes you as commercial.
Yeah.
Did I
and
get that right?
That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I have no problem with that. I just want to make sure.
Yeah,
we're on
I
the
think
same
the
page.
question's more, if I can paraphrase, he's wondering if you'll eventually move back towards a residential use versus business.
The way things are now, I was hoping to keep them the way they were for the past
Okay.
33 years. That
Yep.
have been relatively
He's just looking for an answer.
peaceful. Yes,
Yeah.
sir. And would not seek to expand beyond this initial request because we would be where we need to be.
Gotcha. Kevin, additional questions?
No further questions, thank you.
Very good, thank you. Becky?
So I did visit the property. I'm confused by your comment about no abandoned vehicles. There was a bus, a broken-down bus on the property.
Yes.
There's,
That is on its way out. I instructed my tenant just again the other day that it needs to be gone yesterday. He was using that as a storage container, and he did not have my permission to put that there, and he says it will be out this week, and I'm holding him to it, so that's going to be removed
Okay.
immediately,
so,
and nothing will be put back in its place.
oh, okay. So let me just go back, because I'm looking at my phone because I took some pictures while I was out there.
Yep.
What's your understanding of how you can use the property now? I guess that, the front of the property, what is your understanding? Because that is completely being used
Right.
now.
And I was not aware that it was not zoned that way. That was
Okay.
how my father had arranged it.
Okay.
And in his latter years, he was probably not doing it 100% the way he should. I was not aware, again, that it was zoned that way until I got the notice in April, I believe.
Okay.
And so I'm doing my best to comply, and that's why we're here to appeal the expanded use.
Okay, so it's your understanding that you can use what,
The
behind?
rear for
The
landscape
rear,
rental
but
and
not
storage.
the front?
the way
But
we
you're
have been.
aware of the condition of the front?
I am now, yes,
Okay, all right.
and I want to comply fully.
What about a boat?
Pardon me?
There's a boat,
There shouldn't be a boat. Where is the boat?
it's in the back,
Was it there this week?
yeah?
Really? They had one that they removed. I was not aware one is back there. An actual boat, like
Okay,
a
I
big
mean-
boat? Or a little
There's only one
rowboat?
kind of boat.
I will investigate that immediately. I'll be going by the property tonight, and I will make sure, is that not allowed to be there as storage?
Okay. There's extensive questions about this property,
Yes.
so I'll just defer to the rest of the
Yeah,
board.
and this is for the public as well as you, Mr. Costanza. I just want to make sure we're clear on the terms. So you are zoned in R3, but the conditions that were put on this property are just that, they're conditions.
Correct.
So there was specific language that was put in prior decisions that limit what you could do. For instance, the parking of vehicles in the front. It was clearly spelled out in a prior decision. That has nothing to do with zoning. You're R3. That zone does not change. But what you were allowed to operate had specifics on it. So that's for everybody in the room as well. So I just want to make sure we're all talking the same language. So
Yep.
I'll move on to Ken.
So that building in the back, what is that being used for?
That's for landscape storage as well. Landscape business, Coastal Landscaping rents there to store some of his equipment.
Okay. This document that you prepared,
Yes.
is that what you're proposing?
For the front
Yeah,
expanded
for the,
use.
for the
yes.
front, because it looks like that's already there, because I went by on
Right.
Saturday, plus more.
Yes.
There was a lot more vehicles, like heavy equipment or big trucks and such. And
In the front?
But, well, I don't know, I think the front is ambiguous to me right now, so I mean,
Okay.
it's in back of the dental building, correct? But, so, in back of that building, I think it looks like it's all filled up, because I drove down the driveway, and if I'm driving into the property, to the right there was a lot of equipment, a lot of trucks and stuff, it's
Yep.
pretty much filled up.
Like dump trucks?
Yeah, so if you're proposing, that's already, it looks like it was more than what is portrayed right there.
Yeah, I did not, in my map drawing, I did not address the back. I was not aware that that's in question. I thought everybody was okay with how that has been going up till now. I thought it was only the front and the office building I needed to expand
So you're
upon.
talking, so the front is the front closer to, the front of the office building closer to Andover Street. That's what you're talking about. You want to park there as well.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I thought this was the
Yeah.
proposed, that you drew up, I thought this was your proposal.
For the front of the property, yes,
Oh,
not the
maybe I'm
rear.
looking at it backwards. Well, Andover Street is right here.
Yeah, there should be a north, south, east, west on the drawing.
But that's wrong, because Andover Street's right here. You see what I mean?
Yeah, I
So I
copied
think
that
you have
from,
it backwards.
I'm not sure.
on your drawing.
I apologize if it is. I copied it from Google Maps, the actual map that the satellite provided, and then I added the occupants on top of, I overlaid it on top of the Google Maps picture.
Okay, so the building is Andover Street, and then the building right below it is the dental building, correct?
That should be correct. I'm gonna see if I can view mine a little bit better, because I'm a little nearsighted.
This is 342,
Yep.
and, yeah.
So you're gonna fill up, the back's already full, and then you're gonna fill up the front?
If we're allowed to, yes, please.
This is the back. This is the back.
Yeah.
And this is the front. Here's the building.
Oh, no, all right, I thought this was a dental building.
No,
Okay.
this is somebody's house.
Oh, gotcha, all right.
They're probably
So
here.
You got it right, all right.
Yeah, that should be a correct portrayal on the screen.
Okay.
So the top is the north facing
Okay, so you were
Andover
gonna,
Street.
you wanna go behind that, the 342, I get you. I mean, the building that has the
Yeah.
342 on.
And if you see the red star, just below that red star is our building and the way it faces the tenants parking.
Okay.
Additional questions?
Nope, so you're gonna fill up the back of that, and the front of it is already full.
No,
Well, that's the front. You could, both sides of that building, and it'd be packed with stuff.
Yeah, if the front of my building is facing Route 114 Andover Street,
Yep.
2 tenants are along the left side of the front of the property.
Yep.
And 1 tenant, the smaller landscaper, is along the right side of the driveway where there's a gravel section for him. So he's kind of single file along the driveway, just set off the driveway a little
Yep.
bit.
All right.
And we do
I
not
got it.
want to get any other tenants beyond what's already there whatsoever.
Okay, so what's the additional vehicles if you're not gonna get any more tenants?
It's the ones pictured there because they were not currently zoned
They're not legal.
appropriately. So we're looking to get them an exemption.
Yeah, but
Anybody in front of the building.
they look like, I'm just saying
So
Saturday.
you're not in
when I went.
compliance right, I mean, I
Yeah,
think what
he's
he's
not
saying,
in
he's not in
compliance
compliance right now, and
Right.
this is what he's asking for.
Yeah, I'm trying to fix what was
Trying to get blessed for
done
what's
wrong.
on the ground.
Yeah,
What's going on now is what he's asking.
okay. So,
Does that
getcha.
make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
No additional tenants will be sought after, or it's already more than enough if
Yeah,
they're
because
allowed
it
to
was
stay.
packed when I went down there Saturday evening.
I agree.
Still packed, yep.
And we did have the current tenants clean up their act quite a bit. I think they made substantial gains, and I know there's still room for a little more improvement, yeah, especially the bus that absolutely has to go, and anything else you might recommend.
Okay, thank you, Ken. Ken Scholes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. All right, I'm trying to wrap my head around this zoning. So the back landscape lot, it was grandfathered in for them to have that back there behind the building.
Correct.
So how were they allowed to have the dental office in the building?
So, so here, we
It's in
have a
it's in
little
one of
zone.
the
I know, I'm trying to look at
history.
these.
It was through a number of different
Any chance of
applications.
additional tenants?
This is like a summary of all of it.
Yeah,
So in 1980, the ZBA granted a variance to North Shore Radiologic to obtain access over the R3 portion of the lot. So there was a variance governing the use. Then town meeting then rezoned all of the industrial 2, which this was, to residential 3. So that was why, so it was not residential originally. So that's another piece to the puzzle.
right,
Then those are the two main things that caused the use to kind of continue operating, is that it wasn't residential previous, it was industrial, which made sense for a dental laboratory. And then there were a number of applications that they applied for in order
Right.
to kind of massage the use and change it a little bit. So where they are now is that there's a landscaping use in the back that's bleeding out into the front. It's specific, the variance specifically said nothing in the front. So we told them that, and now they're here. But yeah, there's a lot to see.
right. Okay.
Answer your question?
And, yes. So when you walk up to the dental building, which was the dental building, the front door of the building is right, just to the right of the driveway when you come in.
Correct.
That's that main door.
Yes.
Okay, so that's the front of the building.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I made a site visit today, and yeah, it seems like a whole tree company has all of its vehicles there.
Yes.
So there's about 15 of them. I don't think I have any further questions. I do hope we hear from 344 or 340 Andover.
All good?
Yes.
Very good, thank you. Corinne?
I would like to, Mr. Chair, may I ask a question of the planning director?
You may.
Brian, how did this case get to us? Maybe you can give a little summary.
Sure. Most of this was done through the planning technician, Brian Cassidy, who's been working with Mr. Costanza for several months. I will agree with Mr. Costanza that it has gotten significantly better. There's still a lot going on. There's a lot of activity going on at the site. But there are a number of vehicles that have been taken out, camper, the RV, and several others. So this started in, it was investigated in 2023 for that, someone was, Brian was there for another, he was driving and saw a whole bunch of vehicles, and he didn't know what it was, and looked into it. And it made no sense what was going on. We reached out, and that's when we alerted Mr. Costanza that he's not compliant for a number of reasons with not only the variance application, he was out of compliance with his variance. And that's what and then he got his application materials together in order to apply for the ZBA and worked quickly in doing that.
For
So
2
this is-
years?
No, it's start,
I thought you said
2023.
2023.
I'm sorry.
That was March
That was,
2024.
no, sorry,
Okay.
March of '24, I'm so sorry.
Okay, so,
March of 2024.
Correct.
March of 2024 is
Very
when when we started realizing that there was
Okay.
that the vehicles were in the front.
Okay.
okay, and was a violation notice ever issued?
So we basically, we said, you can, we told him that he was in violation and that he can either apply or become compliant. And he decided to apply as quickly as he could, which he did. So when that
Okay.
happens, we typically then don't do an enforcement letter when they're trying to comply by coming to the board.
Okay, but that was still like over a year ago, right?
Yes.
Okay.
May I ask one
Hold
clarification?
hold on.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Are you done with,
Yeah, I mean, I have some
Yes,
additional
yes, go ahead.
questions, but if
No, but
you
you're done with
want.
Brian.
Yeah, I'm done with
Right.
Brian. You
Yeah.
can address those questions.
Just one, I'm not going to rebut anything, just a quick clarification. You're saying 2024, was that directed towards my father? I was not in ownership at that time. Do you mean 2025? When we connected after the notice?
So
I
March
think
of
I believe-
2024 is when we first noticed, when we started, this was due to historical research. In March of 2024 was when we first noticed showing vehicles were parked in the front of the building.
okay.
Okay,
that-
so
that
you
was
went
what-
back and did research.
But it turned, yeah, so, sorry, my mistake for saying that. I'm reading my own memo wrong, so that's great.
It's all right, it's been a long day.
Yeah. So that was, we didn't realize that in March of 2024. That was a date that we were like, when we went
That's what
back in
triggered it.
time and said,
Okay.
oh, March of 2024 is when this started happening.
Okay,
So yeah, I hope that somewhat
yes,
clears
that's
things up.
very good summary. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, go ahead, Corinne.
All right, so, so with regard to the use change or like the type of tenant that you want to be able to lease to, we kind of have those requests all the time because oftentimes, you know, what's allowed even way back in the day isn't realistic now. So I don't really have as much of a concern about that, but I do have a concern about all of these parked vehicles. Now, you stated that you have three, let me see, where's your application? That you have three tenants that have this unusual parking issues. RGS Tree Service, Finer Paving, which from what I gather is a newer tenant, a Junior Perez Landscaping and Masonry, and then you also have Coastal Landscape.
Coastal is out back. They've been, I believe, a long-term tenant, so they're not involved with my appeal for the front variance. It's just the first three you listed, RGS, Finer Paving, and Junior Perez. Those are the three out front that I am looking for the expanded use.
Okay. So who parks in the back then?
Coastal Landscaping?
They take up all of the parking in the back?
No, there's a few tenants. There's Coastal that occupies the garage, John Wyman Landscape Construction, and a couple others. I don't have a list in front of me. There's a stump grinding business who parks his truck there, JC Stump Grinding, and I believe they're all listed with the town in our itemized tenant list. Eric Banks Landscaping, and there's one other, Linden Landscapes.
Do you ever limit them to the amount of vehicles they can park?
Yes, they have to stay within their confined space that my father had lotted out. And like I said, I took this over the winter, so everything has been becoming a lot more viewable to me as the spring. When they came back into operations, a lot of them were dormant during the winter, so I didn't have a full view of what they were doing. But out back, they each only have a few vehicles, but they add up when they're all together. The largest tenant with the most vehicles would be the tree company out front that we're looking for the expanded use. He is registered with the town, if I'm not mistaken, as is Finer Paving, and I believe Perez is too. They have business permits with you, but obviously we need to be in compliance with the zoning.
As part of leasing out this space, did your dad ever do any type of a parking plan so that he knew where each tenant had the right to park?
Yeah.
And did he ever restrict them? Like, this is where you can park. If you have too many vehicles, you can't park them here.
Yes, he had them all stay within their allotted spaces. I'm not sure how quietly accurate, but he wanted them all to stay within their zones and not encroach on each other neighbors' zones. And they're within property lines, to the best of my knowledge.
Did he actually have like a parking plan, though, where?
A visual?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think so. I've not been able to find one. So I've been working with the tenants to establish their boundaries and make sure they're all maintained as efficiently as possible.
Okay, and do they, and, you know, I mean, I drove by, I didn't get out of my car to kind of look around, and maybe that's something that we should do. Do they store other things back there? You know, like, with these businesses also come, you know, like other things that they need to store. Like, obviously, the mason, does he have stonework? Does he have bags of,
Very little. He seems to just have a small pile of bricks here and there, or paving blocks. The one out front you're speaking of, Perez? Very small. They don't really stock a lot of materials. John Wyman Construction may have a little bit more materials, such as PVC piping and stuff like that, but he utilizes that. It shouldn't be a long-term storage. It's rotating.
okay, and do these businesses actually have like inside office space, or are they basically renting the outside space?
Virtually all of them outside, with the exception of Coastal Landscaping, rents the garage, and John Wyman Construction uses a little office space down below us in the same dental lab building, and that's it, but he has no full-time employees in there.
So you're basically renting out the storage space outside?
Correct.
Okay, all right, no further questions?
Thank you, Corinne. All right, so Mr. Costanza, a lot to unpack here. It's clear to me there's a lot going on at this property. I'm guessing by the room tonight, a lot of neighbors are concerned as well. Let me just see if I can kind of tidy this up a little bit. First off, I think we would like to request a site visit as a board. So that's something that I had spoken about with our planning director. So we would like to do that. So maybe we can get a better handle on this as a board, to actually be on your site and have you point out to us what's going on there.
Certainly.
So you're agreeable to that, and I'm going to throw a date out when I finish with my questions. It seems clear to me that there's so much activity, it is very confusing, and to echo on Corinne's point, I think what I'm going to request of you is we would like some kind of parking plan.
Okay.
And again, it's, you know, I would assume we're going to maybe push this into a continuance tonight so we can get out for a site visit. But I think that's something that's going to be helpful for all.
Okay.
Probably mostly you, right? And to be able to hold the tenants to certain locations within your property. However, what I'm trying to get a handle on is, you know, we've got a lot that has transpired maybe that you weren't aware of. I'm going to give you that out, as your dad was running the business and now you are. Having these vehicles in front, parked currently, put you in violation. I think we can all agree on that, right?
Yes,
And I think what's been pointed out by Becky as well is there's still some non-compliant things that, by your own admission, need to get cleaned up, AKA the bus and the boat, I believe. So, you know, genuinely, when applicants come before this board, we're looking to kind of, we want you to come with your house in order, but if it's not in order, we're going to try to get you there, right?
Sure.
So I think we can all work towards that, and I'm assuming that's going to make the neighbors a lot happier, too.
Yep.
To me, that would be step one. So I think, you know, for us to kind of go to your property and guess, well, what's legal, what's illegal, who owns, we don't know that, right? The neighbors probably have a real good handle on it because they have to look at it all the time, right?
Okay.
So I think that's step one. I think, so you'd be willing to make sure maybe by the time this site visit happens that we get anything that's unregistered or not allowed on site out of there. And I'm not talking about the parking of the vehicles, because I think it's pretty clear to me that's going on already. And I think I understand the history from hearing Mr. Zakelli's, explanation. So you would be willing to take that to get those vehicles or boats or whatever's there out of there before the site visit?
Oh, yes, of course.
Okay, and we're looking to throw out a date of, I think we said Thursday, August 7th, next Thursday. Is that enough time to make that happen?
I would hope so, yes.
Because I think that just takes, gets us a lot closer to,
Yep.
A, compliance, but B, for this board to kind of be able to see what it is you're really talking about, what you're trying to do. And like I said, the second piece that I would be requesting of you, and I believe would be very helpful to the board, is some kind of parking plan that, not striped on the ground, not done, but a paper plan that
Yes.
says, this is what we're looking to do, and it has to be a little more detailed than this, I believe,
Okay.
than what you've shown. So,
Okay. You mean the back as well, correct?
I think so, because I feel like, in reading through this history and knowing, it looks like you have, I'm going to say close to 7, 8 tenants. Does that sound about right?
Yeah.
And again, that's with your dental office not operating, correct?
Correct.
But you're looking to continue.
Correct.
So I just think in order for, and again, our job as a board, right, is to try to bring you into compliance and strike a happy medium here. So as long as you're agreeable to all that, I don't think I have additional questions. You're not looking to change any buildings. You're really just looking to operate this how it has been operating, but as now has been pointed out to you, operating illegally.
Exactly,
Does
yes.
that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay. I don't think I have any other questions of the applicant. And I'm going to strobe the board one more time. I know there's a lot of people in the public that probably want to be heard, but any additional questions from the board?
I don't have any questions.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah, go ahead.
So was there any thought to, so it used to be a dentist's office, now you're going to go to an accountant office or whatever. So has there been any thought of where those people are going to park, the customers are going to park?
Yeah, well, there would be no customers that we would anticipate. Again, it would be general office space that hopefully will not cater to the public unless it's, say, an accountant that may have one customer at a time. It wouldn't require mass parking, and it would just be regular, normal vehicles, no other heavy equipment or storage whatsoever. So they should be able to park right in front of the building near the front door, right along the front steps.
Well, there's going to be workers there too, so they're going to have to populate some space.
Correct,
And then you
yes.
should have
There-
some space for some customers, I think.
Yes, additionally, if you're facing the front of the building, along the driveway, there's more gravel parking spaces connected to the paved driveway that can allow for a couple cars, normal passenger cars, nothing industrial.
And that will be reflected in your parking plan.
I will
That-
make
that's
sure it
what we
does
would
now.
want, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, and just to go back to the site visit, I said Thursday, August 7th, but I want to set a time. Board
Okay.
members, would we be okay, and Brian, with 6 PM? Would that work?
Yes.
Yes, Ken, Karine?
That's fine.
Next Thursday, 6 PM.
That
Does
should
that
work.
work for you, Mr. Costanza?
That should work very well.
Okay.
May I ask one quick question?
Yeah,
for
yeah, absolutely. That's what we're about. We're here to fix this all up.
Yeah, was the boat spotted in the rear of the property or the front?
I'm
'Cause
gonna lean
I was
to
there
Becky for
last
that.
Friday.
It's in the rear of the property.
Okay, I'll make sure to.
So, and again, I'll just go back. Although the prior decisions strictly spoke about things parking in the back, like I said, we're here on the whole site, right? So
Okay.
we're gonna try to get this kind of all encapsulated and to
Yes.
kind of comply under one decision, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does.
Okay. So there's a boat on the rear we're looking to have removed.
Yep.
And there is an abandoned, a bus, it sounds like,
Yeah,
that's been being
That's
used
already
for
been
storage.
instructed, and I'll make sure he
Yep.
gets that out
You
this
got a
week.
deadline now, so you
Yeah.
can push
Oh,
that
yeah.
on to your tenant.
Yep.
Okay, and before I open this up to the public, hold on there, Mr. Bradstreet, you'll get your chance. Please, in the interest of time, and just so we can be productive here, just let's keep our comments, new comments, if they haven't already been brought up, I think you can tell the board has a handle that the site is probably unsightly and had a number of years of, not complying, and we're very aware of that. So we do want to hear from you, but if we could just stick to the points and not regurgitate the same things over and over. So with that said, I'm going to open it up to the public, and Mr. Bradstreet, since you had your hand up first, I will go to you.
Bill Bradstreet, Town Meeting Member, Precinct 1. You said you're going to do a site visit. At the time of the site visit, will all of the tenants' vehicles be parked on the property so you can see not only the parking
Well, that's a
designations plus what it looks like with all of these vehicles of sizes or design?
I think that's a good question, and I think from what I understand, it's happening anyway. So I don't think, I don't believe Mr. Costanza's going to tell all his 7, 8 tenants, hey, get your vehicles out of here for the day. The cat's out of the bag, right? We already know there's a problem here. So I would expect, Mr. Costanza, that we would see it as it exists now.
We already saw it.
We've already seen it. So my hope is we're going to get the real view, I guess.
And that would be my concern also, that if it's unsightly to the neighbors, it might be nice for the board, site visit-wise, to see what all of this looks like.
Sure.
One particular
Yeah, I think that's the point of the site visit
We've
for
already
us.
been there.
Now, a lot of us have been there, but I think we're going to go there as a board. And again, that was kind of at the direction of Mr. Sekeli. And I believe the applicants agreed to it, so we're good.
I'm not on the board, but I certainly would want to see what you're going to see.
You're on the board. You're here. You're here as much as us. You're here as much as us. We'll go right here.
Hello, I'm Greg Bissett. I live at 14 Buxton Road. Is it possible to bring up that map you had, the color map?
Sure.
Just give you a little perspective what I'm talking about here.
This map here you're
The
talking-
color map, no, the
Oh, just
photograph.
the Google map?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Aerial Google map.
Sorry, hold on.
Thank you. All right, so I only have a few brief remarks for your consideration.
Sure.
all right? So where I live, 14 Buxton Road is, well, now you're confusing me. Just zoomed out, but
Buxton?
it's at the bottom
Yep, we can see
left-hand
it.
corner over there. Okay, so I have direct line of sight into the rear of this property where most of the work seems to be done. From all vantage points from the front of my house, this business is just a complete eyesore. Further, an insane amount of noise pollutes an otherwise peaceful and what should be a tranquil setting. Fantastic neighborhood, eyesore, massive amount of noise pollution. I moved in there about 11 years ago. The back area has always been a complete mess and really kind of embarrassing to look at. It just doesn't fit the rest of the setting of the entire neighborhood. Typically, there's a ton of material like rotting logs, car parts, bricks, cardboard boxes, random trash, overflowing and piling up at Cemetery Road. So I'm on Buxton on the other end. And, you know, I'm not sure if any cleanup has occurred recently, but this is just how it's always been, all right? The property, you know, and part of that, and what we're asking here is whether or not we want to expand this business, right? So I can't imagine that the amount of disruption in that environment is going to go down. There's no way. So anyways, this property was actually the main reason why My wife at the time and I almost did not buy our house, was because of this. However, it was summertime, so part of that back area was
Sure, it was
partially
all
occluded by
overgrown. Yeah, right.
vegetation. The noise is unbearable at times, okay? There have been several, more than several, instances of loud parties that go on deep into the early morning hours. Fireworks going off at 2 a.m., that sort of thing. And again, this is not like it happened once.
And this is on 342 Andover Street?
Yeah, right in there.
Okay.
Yep, and that-
Again, you guys are the neighbors, so we're trying to get a handle on this through
So
you.
that's the back area that I'm talking about there, yep.
Well, in defense of the applicant, I can't sit and say this is him personally, right? It could be his
I
tenants, it
understand
could
that.
be,
Yeah, I'm not
it could
pointing
be
finger.
neighborhood kids, right? We don't know.
This is just remarks for your
Sure.
consideration.
Yep, got
This
it.
is what we've all been dealing with, right?
He's 14.
So anyway,
14.
I actually, I hate to, say this publicly, but I've actually have made multiple noise complaints over the years. So anyways, during the day, so that's the night noise. During the day, I get to listen to chainsaws constantly, crews shouting, swearing, that sort of thing. Peaceful backyard, I gotta listen to these guys cussing at each other in
Yeah,
the back,
sure.
right? Banging tools around, that sort of thing. At times, I've heard metal grinding and metal cutting and ear piercing, right? And I actually, the only thing I could think that they were doing back there was some sort of auto body work, right? Which is not landscaping, right? It's not landscaping storage or whatever they're claiming that they're doing. They're doing other things besides that. So to kind of wrap it up here, I'm personally obviously opposed to any business expansion at this site. It definitely wouldn't improve property values, certainly not. I'm happy to hear that the board is going to be visiting the site, together as a board. I also invite you to drive up and down Buxton Road and Cemetery to kind of see what I'm talking about. This business just sort of tarnishes what should be an otherwise nice place to live. And in my opinion, it sounded like, it's zoned to be residential. I think, that's what it really should be, not a business that just houses multiple companies and all kinds of vehicles and does all kinds of work. And the last thing I want to say is, I've been here for 11 years. I found out by word of mouth that there was some that's a landscaping company. I can't find them on Google or anything. Every time I've ever tried to look up the landscaping company here, nothing shows up. So
Well, the
tonight I
applicant
heard
did point-
coastal landscaping, that doesn't show
Well,
up.
let me just point out something. The owner did point out that these businesses are registered with the town. So as far as, I have to assume they're legal because they pay, into the town for that.
I'm not
taxing.
suggesting
Yeah.
that. I was just making a point that, it's a supposed business
Yep.
that I can't find, and it's my,
Makes
and there's
sense.
all kinds of activity. However, it seems to not exist.
Thank you. And again, for the neighbors, I will point out that, this, I think we have to look at this situation as this is, even though it's the same family, it's a new owner, and I think he's in here to try and, get this right and better. We can't undo, I just want to make clear, we can't undo past decisions that allowed this. So the best we can do is just try to forge a path forward that will allow definitely to change what you're experiencing as a neighbor and a butter.
Just a brief reply, I agree, new ownership wants to comply, wants to clean it up, so to speak. But really what we're here for is for permission to expand the business, right? And that's what I'm here to kind of,
Yeah, you're
arguing that.
against that expansion. Got it.
Thank you.
Very clear. In the green shirt.
Good evening. My name is Bill McKenzie, Precinct 3, Town Meeting Member. It sounds to me that it's a contractor's yard, grandfathered in. They want to expand it. Now, I live in a neighborhood that we've gone through this already. They're really keeping an eye on it. They're doing a good job. I have a couple issues with this. This is right near the Ipswich River watershed. Where's water management, stormwater management there? What, is it paved, unpaved? What is going on with these trucks that are coming in, that are leaking oil, hydraulic fluid? We all know they do. We all know they have big trucks in there. If he's gonna expand it, I think the whole site should be reconsidered with the planning board or somebody to make sure that we go through this, to make sure it's done right.
I can ask Brian, and I know we have the engineering letter, but I believe that is their recommendation for this, or no?
Actually don't remember that one, sorry.
I don't either, and
It's a change in use for an existing commercial property. As long as no ground disturbances are proposed, a stormwater permit would not be required. so
okay. So that's
No
from,
expansion.
I
There's no-
understand the stormwater permit, I do, but I just.
yep,
just,
no,
you know, the
I hear
watershed
your point.
area and-
Yep.
And, you know, we all know, I'm a contractor, at the end of the day, you got dunnage, you bring it, and if you got a yard like that, you're gonna dump it.
Sure.
Because that truck's going somewhere tomorrow morning. So if that builds up, that creates rats, it creates all kinds of issues for a tight-knit neighborhood.
Yep, and I think we can agree, there's a lot going on in the site, and we're gonna try to see what we can do
You know,
to
I
correct it.
personally don't know what the site is, I've seen it, I've driven by it, but I don't pay attention to it until tonight.
Clearly, all these people do.
I know.
Mr.
Thank
Bradstreet,
you.
just hold on one second, I'm gonna give other people a chance to speak. Anybody, yeah, go right here in the front.
Hi, my name is Don Clemenzi, and I'm in 16 Buxton Road, right next to Greg. And again, I can see the back of the property. If there's no foliage, then you can look at all of the stuff that is stored there. A little bit of a junkyard kind of look to it. A few years back, they did say that we were in a watershed area. I know I'm not allowed to build more than a 10% covering over my property, and I cannot imagine why we would allow lots of trucks that are probably leaking oils and probably gasoline and other things that are going into that groundwater. I would seriously consider that property be tested, because it may be an EPA violation, I'm not sure. But, I mean, there's a lot of, we're talking about big trucks.
Sure,
You know.
lot going on the site.
Every
Yeah.
parking lot has oil on the ground when you look at it. I can't, and that's usually just during the day. This is 7 by 24 pretty much, there's stuff parked there. And there's old vehicles that are probably leaking fluids. So, I mean, my big concern there definitely is the whole watershed groundwater contamination. I have a well, Greg has a well, so some of us are still on well water. There's at least 3 houses that are still in well water, and there's a well site that is the Town of Danvers well site that's right down the street from there.
Sure,
So-
yeah.
And again, just to reiterate everything that he said, it's been an eyesore, it's been noisy, partying.
Well, hopefully we can move towards eliminating it.
Okay,
Thank you.
that's all I had.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. David McKenna, Precinct 8 Town Meeting Member, 383 Andover Street is my residential address. I also own the property at 50 Buxton Road, family homestead, where we run the cemetery business out of the residence. I've been there for a long time in this site, and I sent some paperwork to Brian this afternoon. To follow up on what Mr. Clemenzi said, yes, it is in a Zone 2 stormwater, wellhead protection district. So it is regulated as far as impervious cover, storage of chemicals, which if these landscapers are doing that kind of work, they need special caretaker with that sort of thing too. I understand Mr. Costanza just took the place over. My condolences of your loss. I've been there too. When I was 22, my father died, and all of a sudden at 22, I'm in charge of 26 cemeteries. What the hell? So I
Right.
understand what you're going through. Most of these problems are not his fault. There's some longstanding issues there, the noise and problems the neighbors have complained about. One of the other things that I brought up in my documents, I don't know if you can put that on screen or.
I was just saying, which one, that you gave me five, I have five.
Actually, even just the, any one of the aerials, I think would work.
Okay, how about this one?
It's not quite as big as it could be, but,
I can make it
Well,
bigger.
we'll blow it up for us.
okay.
I need it bigger, too.
Anyone but that one.
The problem that's going on down there, and it's not his fault, probably not his father's either, is that you can see the line right horizontal across the middle of it. It looks kind of purple in this. That's their property line.
Okay.
And if you look right about the center of the screen, you can see we're right above the pointer. They've been filling over the years onto cemetery property, and they're now using it as parking and storage of, I think, tree trunks,
Material.
firewood that's
Yep.
not even their property.
Okay.
So that's something that we just were made aware of when I started looking at these aerials. Google Earth is incredible. But as you can see, there's a lot of equipment stored on that site.
And Mr. McKenna, if I could interrupt you, so is this 2018? Is that the aerial shot from 2018? 7 years ago?
That's the date that aerial came from.
Okay, very
You can
good.
go back in time on Google Earth.
Yep.
I got several different time periods there that I'm sure Brian can share with you if he didn't already. But again, that's the property line. You can see where they have extended below it, and they have material piled up out there.
And your property is the one below it, the cemetery
I'm
property?
actually, if we see Cemetery Road takes the curve down there and then goes to the intersection, my property is actually diagonally across that four-way intersection.
Okay,
The cemetery owns that triangle right in there.
okay. I can see
it's
what you're
not-
talking about. And
Exactly.
again, this is 7 years ago.
That's 7 years ago.
Very good,
yeah.
okay.
And it's gotten worse over time. I don't know they've necessarily expanded any more into that area, but they are on cemetery property.
Okay.
So the cemetery is concerned about this as well.
Sure.
So I'll let others speak, but this is some of the concerns that I see.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you.
Before I let anyone speak, Mr. Costanza, if you could come up, is there any thoughts to, fencing your property? So, as Mr. McKenna pointed out, we can make sure we're definitely not spilling into
Right.
adjacent properties.
Yeah, I will look into that further and
Okay.
ensure that it is not. If it's found that we are, I will make
Sure.
the tenants rescind or recede back appropriately. We do have some fencing, although it doesn't encompass the entire property all the way around. And perhaps if we're granted the expanded use, we'd be able to afford to maybe get more fencing to help the neighbors out.
Sure, and maybe you could speak to some of the things that were pointed out about
Sure.
loud noises, partying.
Yeah.
And not just that, but, contractor-type noise, that type of stuff. I mean, noise pollution's a real thing, right? I wouldn't want to
I
have to hear
sympathize
this.
with that, and I wouldn't want that either.
Yep.
I will be speaking to my tenants. Hopefully, I'm not sure when the most recent fireworks were. I'm never aware of that. I will speak with them all and make sure they know that's completely prohibited. I know some people might think they're in an open industrial area.
Sure.
And maybe they take advantage of that and try to be festive.
Well, there's a new sheriff in town, right? It's
Exactly.
you, so
That's-
we're
yeah,
going to
and
get this squared
They
away.
may have taken advantage of my father's elderly age where he wasn't there,
Sure.
looking down on things. I am there a lot more often, and I think I've accomplished a great deal of cleanup and neatening up. Again, more work to be done and
Yep.
continue. But I'm in contact with all my tenants regularly and making sure they're in contact with me. I did instruct everybody a while back that they should not have any fuel containers or chemical containers of any kind out on the ground in the open. If they have a little storage container, plastic sealed with a lid on it, that's where anything should be kept that they may need to have for their vehicles. And they should not be dumping any materials from their trucks at the end of the day. They're not supposed to. I don't believe they're doing it. The only one that does have some materials that they do leave on the property from time to time would be the tree company. And they do cycle those some of the
And
trees
that's
they'll take.
RGS?
Yes, and
And
he'll
what
have them
about,
removed accordingly, but they store an amount of trees and have them hauled off to a place in Maine that processes them efficiently.
I mean, the feel I'm getting, and I haven't visited the property yet, I know several members of the board have. The feel I'm getting from this particular address is it just seems like it's a lot of disorganization, a lot of chaos. And I think that's what we've got to really work on, right? Especially as a butters. I think I'm getting
agree.
that loud and clear. So I think you're working towards that. But I think, you know, the way to look at this would be, this really ties into how we're going to progress here, right? So I think to continue down that path is the right one. And just one other question I want to ask before I go back to the public. One of the abutters mentioned that these, he can't find these companies on Google searches. These companies are all registered companies, pay taxes. These aren't just, you know, your average Joe home contractor type person.
Correct.
These are legal businesses that are all
Yes.
registered.
To the best of my knowledge, they should
Chairman,
be.
Yeah, sure.
If I may, I think it's the case that the place where you store your truck isn't necessarily the legal address of the business.
Gotcha.
Right? So the business has a legal address. It's just not where they store
It's
it.
just not 342 Andover.
Some of them,
Got it.
yes, so good point.
Okay.
Some get their mail at our location, many do not.
Yep.
So they may
Okay.
not all be.
John, I
Yeah,
actually
sure.
have a couple questions, if I may, of Mr.
Yeah, sure, we
Costanzo.
can go back to the public after your
Okay.
questions, yeah.
You know, it concerned me with what Mr. McKenna said, as far as there being, like, tree trunks and other, like, tree debris being thrown, like, on someone else's property. I mean, basically, your tenant is trespassing on an abutter's property.
Yes.
So I would hope, before we come out for the site visit, that you would speak to your tenant, tell them that they can't do this, and get rid of these tree stumps immediately.
Yes, I certainly will. Is this on the rear of the property they're concerned with, facing the
Mr.
cemetery?
McKenna
It
would
sounds
be-
like from his picture, well, address the chair, please.
Okay, that would be nice, I appreciate that, thank you.
Okay, Corinne Moore?
Oh, thank you.
My next question has to do with the noise during the day. Some of these people who are renting space from you, whether it's outdoor space, indoor space, I'm not sure, are they doing their business outside? Like, are they chainsawing?
should
I
not
mean,
be.
what are they doing that's causing this noise during the day?
Yeah, they should not be. I did hear one of my tenants mention that RGS up front may have operated their chainsaw during the day, probably to trim some of their materials to be hauled away. I don't think that's a regular thing, and if that is a problem with the neighbors, I'd be happy to make sure it stops. Other than that, some of the industrial-type noise may be them trying to fix their vehicles on the property from time to time and keep them ready for the road, but there's not ongoing industrial-type stuff going on or work. Like I say, they park there, so they should be gone for the most part during the day and return later in the day just to store their vehicles. But I will have words with everybody to make sure they don't hang around and cause a commotion or do things that generate unwanted noise.
Well, this business that you said might be trimming or somehow modifying things before they take them off-site. Do they rent space from you inside to do this, or are they literally doing it in the parking lot?
Can you clarify that question, please?
Well, you said that there might be some sort of, I don't know, fabricator who's like making adjustments to some materials before they bring them to a job site. Does that company, and I'm sorry, I don't remember what the name of the business you said was, do they have space, do they rent space inside in order to be able to do this type of work, or are they just doing it in the parking lot? And where do they store the stuff that they're fabricating?
Well, there should not be any fabricating. You may have misunderstood me, or I may have misspoke, and if I did, I apologize. I'm just saying from time to time, I'm kind of speaking in a general sense, if they're hearing what they think are kind of industrial commotion, and I'm speculating, that some people may be fixing their trailer or their truck that may have gotten damaged during the day, so when they come back to park in their parking space or in the garage, again, speculating that they may be fixing their snowplow or their trailer or what have you, so that they can go back out on the job the following day. And the other comment I made was some of the noise may have been from the tree guy trimming his trees so they can be transported to their final destination away from our property. So they're not supposed to be long-term storage of any trees, but they prepare them to be hauled away up to Maine, if I understand them correctly.
So where do they do this preparation work? Like in the parking lot?
Well, like I just said, in their designated parking spots, I was saying repair of a potential landscape vehicle, again, speculating, could be in their garage that we have in the rear of the property for one of the landscapers. It's a big, large bay garage. So if they had to do any repairs, it would most likely be inside that garage that opens very widely for their vehicles, or if they're confined to their own little parking spots, you know, not knowing that I could be changing a tire, I don't know. I'm just, again, speculating that they may do it within their own parking spot, you know, not overflowing anywhere else. And I'm not saying anything too involved. I'm talking minor backyard type repairs that any of us may do on our own vehicles if we change the oil. Well, yeah, hopefully they're not changing the oil there, but you know what I mean. Changing a flat
Well,
tire.
they're not using a chainsaw
Yeah.
to change the tire
Yeah.
either, though.
But the chainsaw, if they were operating that, would be probably to trimming the trees so they can be transported efficiently with the other vehicle that may take them away.
Okay, and you're not aware of any noise complaints, especially at nighttime?
No, I was not, and like I said, I'm going to follow up on that with all my tenants and make sure they're under strict instruction. As you are aware, there were 3 camper-type vehicles that some of the tenants were storing there so they could take it away on weekends or vacations or what have you. And perhaps, again, a little more speculation, perhaps they would hang around the area after hours more when those were there, but those have been since removed. So hopefully, I'm hoping that the noise has diminished greatly in the past few months, and if not, I apologize. And again, I'm going to be enforcing stricter conditions with my tenants to comply and be better neighbors.
Okay, thank you. And can I just ask a question of
Sure
Brian?
can, go ahead.
Does the town keep those, like noise complaints? If someone lodges a complaint, can we get copies of those?
I believe so. So, since I've been here, we have not had any noise complaints. We don't get all of them. They typically obviously go to the police, but sometimes
Right.
before they get to the police, they might go to the health department. Sometimes they come to planning, but I definitely don't get all or even most noise complaints. But I haven't gotten any for this property.
Okay,
I do have a piece of information, though, that kind of has come up. People were talking about that the area around this site is wet.
yeah,
So there's nothing in Concom's jurisdiction on this property. So
Okay.
the north side of Cemetery Road, there's a hydrologic connection there that basically makes all of those properties hit Concom. Basically, south of Cemetery, or I'll stop explaining, I'll just show you here.
So, to your knowledge, Brian, 342 Andover Street does not
It's
fall
not-
under this?
It's not within
Okay.
100 feet of a wetland, so it would, I mean, I could certainly confirm with Emily.
Sure,
But as
sure.
of right now, I would say that 342, which is this flag lot here,
Yep.
it does not hit Conservation Commission's
Okay.
jurisdiction.
And Mr. Costanzo, I'd like to ask, I'm sorry, Karina, are you?
I am all done,
You
thank
are,
you.
okay. Do you have set hours of operation on this site?
Me, myself, no.
I'm talking your tenants. Do they all, is it a 7 to 5 kind of yard, or what's the story here?
Well, my father left that up to them, so I assume most landscapers operate, you know, dawn till dusk for the most part, so they shouldn't be doing anything in the dark or after hours, which means in the winter and colder months that their use of the land diminishes greatly
Sure.
during the winter, because some of them actually go to Florida for the winter.
Right, got it.
So,
Okay, and I will make you aware, we do have a town bylaw that nothing's supposed to happen prior to 7 a.m.,
okay,
so.
yep,
yeah.
I'll make sure they're all aware of that.
Okay, I'm gonna go back to the public, and this gentleman who's got his hand up, I'm gonna hear from you.
Tim Gray, town meeting member, precinct number 8, 9 Buxton Road, we're a direct abutter. So if you pull up the Google Maps again, by chance, for From what we can tell, they have spread aggregate throughout the whole back of that parking area. And we do think it's also, like we said, we talked about this a few minutes ago about the conservation piece of it. So we do have neighbors who have tried to pave their driveways. The town has not allowed them to.
Okay, Mr. Gray, I'm going to limit your comments to this particular property, 342. I get what you're saying, though. And I will just throw it out again, that our site visit's going to alleviate a lot of this, right? So, but continue.
One of the things that brought this to our attention is that they were digging into the embankment up behind number 15 Buxton Road to expand that whole parking area as well. So that was a concern of some of the neighbors because they were cutting down trees and digging into the embankments to expand that whole parking area. So we were concerned about that. Obviously, we've talked about the parties and the noise at nighttime. The leveling off of the open space back behind the area that they've taken the trees out and that they've keep expanding the space that's back there. There's debris that is being left out onto Cemetery Road. And during your site visit, if you go down Cemetery Road, you'll see there's a footpath that comes down from 342 onto Cemetery Road.
Okay.
Directly across from that footpath is where all that debris is being dropped.
Okay,
It's an allegation.
Okay.
But it's.
So your feeling is there's debris being dumped?
That's correct.
Basically closer to Cemetery Road and not on the owner's property?
Correct.
Okay.
And there's a clear footpath from
Sure.
342.
Well, we can also look into that. I think the owner would be.
Yeah.
Sure, okay. And I think that's something, obviously the owner, look, we can
He's a
take
vacant
Mr.
owner,
Costanza at his word here. He's here to, kind of get things right. So we'll, I will just say this to all of you, right? We're all here in that interest.
Yep.
It's a great turnout, and hopefully we can all get to a good place here.
And a question for you, Mr. Chair. Are occupants allowed to stay on the property, to live on site?
I'm going to guess with no, but I'm going to
There's
defer.
no certificate of occupancy for living.
Right.
hold.
It's not for living. It is zoned as residential, but
Okay.
No
I
CO.
believe without an occupancy permit, no one can live there.
So.
And you
when the
feeling
R-
that's being violated?
When the RVs were there were people living in the RVs.
Okay.
That was one of the concerns. The RVs.
And
have left.
my understanding, the RVs are gone.
Correct.
Okay.
Currently, there are still people living on the site.
Okay. So we'll have the applicant address that as well.
Perfect.
Okay.
That'd be great.
Anything else to comment on?
I think that's all that I have.
Very good. Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, right there with the glasses. I'll get to you there, Mr. Bradstreet. You're getting a little slow with the draw.
Hi, I'm Randy Sacco, 5 Buxton Road.
Good evening.
And I got like 200 feet of land, like, abuts them.
Mm-hmm.
The RGS trucks are like, there's like 6 of them there, and they're CDL drivers and everything. Also, I want to let you know, the Perez guy is bordering mine. He's digging into the land there, and he's got like...
I think we just heard that,
He's
yeah.
got cement mixer in there, and blocks, and a dumpster. I mean, are they allowed a dumpster? I mean... They moved the dead cars. There was like 3 dead cars which smashed in front ends.
Well, I think we all are in agreement things are changing, right?
All right.
We're starting to see some progress, I believe, in the right
I don't
direction.
wanna have to, like,
But the dumpster part, I'm not sure about. I guess I'll defer to Brian on that. Do they need a
They're a
permit?
commercial business that we don't.
You don't regulate that,
No,
correct?
no. I'm saying we don't pick up, they need a dumpster.
Sure.
A commercial business needs a dumpster in order to get their.
And bicycles and stuff like that.
And I think just to...
Barbecues.
Just saying the law.
I'm just telling you what's
All
going
right.
on there.
So
I've been there since
just to
03.
your point, though, and this is why we've asked the applicant about basically a parking plan, an overall layout. So
Yeah.
with any luck, we get to a point, hey, the dumpster's here always. The parking's here always. And,
Do I have to have
what
my leave?
can and can't be stored on site. So this is where we're trying to move towards.
right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. Do I have to like have my land surveyed to see how close they are?
Well, no, I don't believe, no, there's no burden on you. This is the burden of the applicant. So if we can't sort this out, I believe
Was there a plot plan in the package?
No, 'cause
Has
it was
this
just
property been,
For an expansion of a use, there's
It's
no
not a
building.
requirement,
We never
right.
require
I can
that,
pull the
but
plan.
we
Yeah.
clearly need
Or
some type of a
something we
plan.
can bring to the?
Yeah.
So we'll have a good handle on, not an official surveyed plot plan, but we'll have a real, especially in light of what Mr. McKenna has pointed out, where it looks like they're encroaching into the adjacent property. And certainly, we're going to look at all sides of it, right? Not just one.
All right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Okay.
All
All right, Miss, I'm gonna, just only because I'm worried his arm's gonna fall off. Let me, Mr. Bradstreet, would you care to speak?
Again, Bill Bradstreet, you touched on it, sir. Are there hours of operation on this property?
I think the applicant did answer that
Can I hear it
in a
again?
roundabout way.
Could I hear it again then, please?
I don't think I got it clear, so I pointed out that the town bylaw is not prior to 7 a.m.
Right.
I thought if I heard him correctly, the hours of operation slide a little bit in the winter because there are not as many of his tenants on site, but I don't feel right now there is a defined set of hours of operation.
That's my question. Thank
Yeah,
you.
we're going to try to get to that. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, that
Yeah.
town bylaw about hours of operation, it's not the hour at which a contractor can go to their yard and pick up their truck, and maybe they're taking the truck to Hamilton instead of Danvers, right?
Right.
To do their work.
I think it's an on-site.
Working outside.
Yeah, so like, for instance, a good.
Dumpster pickup, I
A
understand.
dumpster pickup
Yep.
can't be prior to 7 a.m. So it's actual work on the site.
But I could go pick up.
You
I
could
go-
pick up a
I could go pick
vehicle.
up my truck at 5 a.m. and drive
Now,
it to Salem, New
if
Hampshire,
there's
and-
large vehicles there and we wouldn't want them there idling at 6:30 a.m., right? There's some things like that.
I just want to say, there are many businesses in town that operate 24-hour shifts.
Sure.
There are many, so this bylaw, it's really about outside contractor work that we can limit.
Like doing a roof on a house.
Yeah, like,
Exactly. Gotcha.
And it's really just kind of within reason. I just want to make clear that there are many businesses that operate outside.
Sure,
of that,
outside the hours of operation, right?
Like
Well-
Pine Street.
which they're allowed to, they are allowed to do that.
They're allowed to do that.
Just they're not allowed to cause noise outside.
Understood. Good point, too, Kevin. Okay. Yes, sir, in the back. Oh, sorry, no, I'm. That was going to be what I. Was that your question? All right, we got it. See, we banged it out. We're getting there. Hi, good evening.
Good evening. Neil Sully, 15 Buxton Road, Danvers. And my property abuts them for 300, I think it's 43 feet. I see from their lower corner all the way up, I can see the garage that's down back. I can see it ain't a dentist. He used to fix teeth. He used to build bridges and stuff. He never was a dentist. So we'll straighten that out.
Okay.
And his name was Ed, and I became very good friends with him. And when he was alive, God bless him, he's gone now, from what I understand, I was a spokesman for the neighborhood. They used to come to me, I used to go over and talk to Ed, and he would quell the situation. Then what has happened since he's passed, it's like the Wild West over there. They start at 6 in the morning. You hear the diesel trucks, you hear the logger, and by the way, I hear he's the only one that is registered with the town hall. The rest of them, how they got in there, I have no idea.
Well, that's speculation, we have no way of proving that, right? But we're going to
I'm-
look into all of it.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
And I see the trucks that are down there, I see 9 different companies on their doors. So I see from the front all the way past the dental office almost out to the street. And when I get up and I go outside, they start at 6 in the morning, and it is nothing to hear them 8, 9 o'clock at night, right up to dark. And that includes chainsaws, and the construction company that's down there, he ain't a landscaper, he lays sewers. He's got a backhoe, he's got a big crawler, he's got a couple of dump trucks. They come in, and he uses that also to dump his material. You go down there right now, and you can see 3 piles of crushed stone that I listened 6 o'clock in the morning, he's got a front-end loader. He starts it up, digs into the pile, lifts it, and by the way, I was a plumber. And he dumps it into the dump trucks. He's got, I think, 3 dump trucks. And he has other equipment, and he is the one that owned the boat.
Okay.
And it was up around towards Cemetery Road. He has, since all this has started, within the last 4 or 5 days, he had a RV that he was living in.
Okay, well, let me just stop you. I think we're clear. I think we've got it. We got a good picture that there's a lot going on here that we need to get our arms around. And I don't think anybody's disputing what you're saying. So do you have any questions for the applicant himself or maybe us as a board?
No, I was very good friends with his father.
Well, I think his son's here, and he's you know, this is a good first step. I think
And I know
we're
his
gonna
daughter-
try to get this right.
His daughter was involved too. Ed's daughter?
He does not have a daughter.
Then there was a woman that used to come and collect the money.
Perhaps his wife or stepmother?
No.
All right. Well,
This was a
let me just have you address your questions or comments to the board.
Told me to address this man, I was.
Yeah. Do you have any further questions for us?
And what is it used to be, the hours of operation for there, because I've been there over 40 years. It used to be that there was one landscaper, and it was from 7 in the morning till 5 at night.
Yeah, I think he's answered that already. We don't have a good handle on hours of operation, and we're going to address
It
that.
starts at 6 in the morning to 8, 9 o'clock at night.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your comments.
And they have hot topped the whole place, front and back.
Okay. All right.
There's the watershed right there.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Any other, and only new comments only, please. Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Gail Clemenzi. I live at 16 Buxton. I just had a question. I don't have any experience with zoning, so maybe you can clarify for me. If this is a residential and is a variance for business, are there limitations on a variance, or is it just free-for-all?
Well, see, and that's a very good question. A variance does stay with the property. So when this board issues a variance, it's there for the life of the property.
Okay.
Now, this has had, over the years, additional, as we pointed out, conditions put on this property, hence parking of vehicles in the rear, things of this nature, that are clearly not being followed. And it's very clear to me, and I believe the rest of our board, that this site has blossomed into something it was never intended to by those earlier decisions. But yes, it is there by variance,
Can I
grandfathered function. Yeah,
clarify what
go-
you're
yeah.
saying?
Yes,
Yes.
go ahead, Becky.
Okay, so through you to Brian, I believe this was a pre-existing non-conforming use when the zoning changed. So
Yeah.
the use was allowed.
At the time.
It's not a variance. The use was allowed when the zoning changed. And there was a letter in 1994 written by the building inspector specifying that the back of the property was grandfathered for a landscaper, and then that the office building could be used for the office use. But other than that, that's all that's been approved for use of this property. So he's asking for more than that. And, but that, as of 1994, that's how the property was used, and it was grandfathered.
We came in 96, so I wasn't aware of
Yeah,
that.
yeah. So
So-
there
so
was
what
one
goes-
landscaper in the back,
Yeah.
and then the office use.
So what's
That's it.
going on there now is clearly not allowed.
Okay, that was part of
Well,
it.
and that's been well established, and I believe the
Right, right. No, I
applicant
just wanted to
understands
clarify. I
that.
didn't understand how the variance worked.
Yeah.
And,
Sure.
and the amount of people that are there, as well as, we talked about the watershed a little bit, and my husband said he brought this up. I must have missed it, but they're in the topography, you can see it on the map. They're up high, and it's flowing down, and we actually didn't have that town well down at the end of Buxton, past our neighbor's house over here. They didn't have that back then, so if with the zoning, it wasn't widely used, was it?
All right,
I thought it was
to the
described.
chair, miss, please, up here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. I didn't understand when that was there, but I thought there was a change in how that land
Well,
was.
Mr. Zakelli already pointed this out, that this property is not under the watershed, so we can't,
Hold on.
Yeah.
Not that it's not.
Right.
It's that
It's not
it's-
within 100
it's-
yards.
It's not within Conservation Commission's jurisdiction. If there's certainly if there's a well, there's obviously monitoring wells there also.
That's my question. Yeah.
So, but all I was saying is that as far as I can tell, and I'm pretty confident that this is not within Conservation Commission's jurisdiction. That's all I'm saying.
Now, with that said, that doesn't mean there's potential other problems here. And
That was my
and again,
question,
we're here to
zoning.
look at all of it, right?
You have governance over that. Well,
I
as
think
part
what
of the
what the
zoning.
ZBA has control over, they do have control over
Okay.
time. So times of operation, they have the ability to set that as conditions. They have the ability to say where certain uses can occur on site. They can have a say in the parking. They're trying to figure out, it's like, well, why do you need the parking in the front? Maybe it's a mismanagement in the back, like we can,
I understand that,
So
yeah.
that's, those are the
There's a
types of
lot that
things-
can go into this decision.
Yep.
But again, I think it's clear to me, and I believe the applicant, that we've got to get our arms around on where we're at today and try to get to the best solution possible.
Thank you for clarifying the zoning.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you. Okay. To the microphone, please, sir. And new comments only. I need you to be on DCAT, please.
Yes. The one other thing is, up to this point, approximately 3 months ago, I'm going to guess at 40 people on that whole property working. Up to 3 months ago, which they just started, they brought in a porta potty. I've seen them going outside. My wife has, and I know some of the other neighbors have. One porta potty
Okay,
for
well,
40
we will
guys.
definitely get a handle on that as well.
I'd appreciate it.
You got it. Thank you. Okay, with that said, I am going to close the public portion of our meeting. Mr. Costanza, if you could come back up. I believe what I'm going to recommend is that we have a continuance tonight. However, I guess board members,
Should be
would we like to
comments.
we're going to make some comments so you can go off with a full picture here of what this board's looking for in general, but also ahead of the site visit. So, and I believe I started with Kevin, is that right?
Last time I believe you did.
Okay. So, if you will.
Sure.
I'm actually, sorry, Kevin,
Yep.
before you do that, is there any additional questions out of the board before we go into deliberations?
I just have one
Yep.
of
For
Mr.
Brian?
Zakelli.
Yeah,
Yes.
go ahead.
Would it be possible before we do this site, like the site meeting, for Mr. Cassidy to kind of do, I guess, a search of the businesses that are there, just to see
Give
if...
us details.
Yeah,
That's super easy.
all right.
Okay.
Okay,
That's
and
all.
also, is there any way we can figure out what's going on with, like, the well water and also that basin that might be back there? Just because it's not conservation land doesn't mean that there's not some other, I guess,
Concerns,
like,
yeah.
review
Sure.
that needs to be done.
To be honest, there isn't. I mean, so the wetlands, they're not linear, so there's probably much of the neighborhood does get caught up in Conservation Commission because there's a lot of wetlands in the area. What I can do is double make sure that anything that, right now they're not doing anything that would trigger a review in general, but I can at least determine if they're in their jurisdiction. Again, I don't think they are, but I
Well-
can double check that.
Can I
I'm
just,
Well, I'm not stating specifically like the Conservation Commission. Like, for example, my house abuts the Danvers, well, it's the reservoir, but Putnam Reservoir, which is the water supply for Beverly and Salem. Literally, there's a fence at the end of my property, and if I throw a twig over it, I get a call from the board saying, hey, you threw a twig over the fence. So I have a hard time believing that there can be runoff here, and whatever board manages Danvers wouldn't have a say in what an abutter is doing.
I haven't had that experience, but I can.
Just
I can-
check
yeah, I
to
can-
see.
I can
ju-
at least
just-
figure
yeah,
out
to-
what.
Drill
to
down
see
into
whose-
it.
whose
Yeah, sure.
responsibility it is. That would be
can I
great.
just
Thank
make a
you.
comment to
Yep.
that?
Yep. Hold on, Mr. McKenna. Go ahead, Becky.
That's a flood map, that's totally
As a
different.
comment to you, Corinne, I
Expanding
would
on
say
Corinne.
if they have well water and they're concerned about their wells, they should test them.
Well, I'm not even talking about the wells. I'm talking about they abut like the Danvers drinking water.
Oh, I see.
That's what he's
And
talking
runoff
about,
from
too.
the property,
Yeah.
from potential vehicles or whatever.
Right, right.
Well,
so.
right,
As far as personal wells, they should probably do some sort of a check.
yeah.
I agree.
Okay. Kevin, we're going to start with comments, and again, knowing this case is going to be continued tonight.
Sure. So as things stand right now, I would not be in favor of granting the parking in front. I think this impacts the R3 zone quite a bit that it's in. I think the only way I can see to do this without it being substantially detrimental, right, to the neighbors, or continuing to be substantially detrimental to the neighbors.
That's a good point, yes.
And the
yeah.
enjoyment of their properties, is if there were other conditions that limited it such that the neighbors got a good trade in the deal, right? So if the neighbors thought that they were getting a good deal if the hours and activities on the site were limited in exchange for that front parking, and that ultimately made the condition of the neighborhood better, in that case, I would consider the front parking.
Okay.
But I think that's about the only case in which I would consider that front parking. I think ultimately we should be returning this property closer to its use, not expanding its non-conforming uses.
Thank you, Kevin.
That's my thoughts. Thanks.
Becky?
I guess, my overall comment would be that we like to see applicants come with clean hands, so that your property is in compliance, and what you're asking is for something to expand or change your property, but that you have clean hands and that everything is running according to the rules and regulations of the town. So right now, you don't have clean hands, and so we're in a position where, well, we've got to deal with the fact that you don't have clean hands, and then you also want more on top of it. So I would like to see that the property be in compliance before there's an expansion of the use. And I go back to what is actually been approved or allowed on that property, which is one tenant in the back, one landscaping tenant, and then an office use. We're way past that,
Okay.
way past that. And I guess I would like to know, do you have leases with your tenants? You don't have to answer that question, but what do the leases say? What are the requirements of those tenants in the leases?
I can answer that if you like.
No, this is our point to
Is
just give
this a
you some
comment?
noise,
Yeah,
okay?
and so, we've got a lot of issues here.
Okay.
And so I'm looking forward to the site visit. I'm hoping that things will be much better when we get there.
Yep.
And then, we'll be continuing this, and we'll see what the neighbors have to say.
Okay.
Thank
Ken?
you.
Thank you, Becky.
Yeah, I echo the concerns. I mean, we've heard everything, and the expansion in any way is a stretch for me, even if everything was perfect, because I just don't see how we can really do it. I mean, especially if you're gonna have utilization of that building for some sort of some business and some customers, perhaps. You need parking for that as well. And the way it's being used now is like a construction yard. You have gravel and stuff. You have backhoes dumping it in trucks, and you seem to have some work going on there too, which is a big concern. So, I mean, obviously, you gotta do a bunch of things to make this right anyways, and then to look at it at what it should be, and then to even go beyond that, I don't even know if it's feasible, but at least we'll make, we're gonna make strides, we'll take a look at it, and then we can see where we are. But, yeah, obviously, right now, I would be an absolute no. But, there'll be some concessions, and we'll see where we are.
Okay, thanks, Ken. Mr. Scholes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I echo my board members. I think it's obvious this back landscape lot needs to be completely combed through and figured out before we vote on anything that has to do with the front of the building. So I think we address that first. Hopefully that we make some sense of it through the site visit. And but as this stands right now, I would be a no on the front parking.
Thank you, Ken. Corinne?
I agree with my fellow board members. I'm also very concerned about what's going on at this property. It seems as if you rent the inside of the property and you rent every outside space of the property to the point where you're allowing contractors and you're allowing businesses to conduct their business outside. So not only have you created an unbearable situation for the neighbors, but I can't see how this would be compliant in any way. So that this property really has to be cleaned up before anyone can entertain allowing you to expand anything on the property.
Okay. Thank you, Corinne. So, Mr. Costanza, I too echo the sentiments of the board. I would not be in favor of any type of expansion of what's going on.
Okay.
I think we've highlighted, though, a lot of areas for improvement here. I think you've got a lot of homework. And, I look at this and I look through the decisions, and thank you to Becky for the clarification that it's not a variance. You really got a grandfathered use. And Peter Bryson, who was our former building inspector in town, was a very thorough guy and a very fair guy. And, these decisions that are part of record were very clear. And I think since that time, we've really lost our way on your property. Now, how we got there, I can't answer, right? That's on you and your family and how things have degraded over time. But I think it's really clear that, for lack of better words, it's kind of like the Wild West on your property.
Okay.
And we've really got to get a handle on that. I think there's I would entertain if we feel like we can come back with some kind of bulletproof plan here where the neighbors, can enjoy their peaceful time and not have to put up with unsightly messes and dumping and concerns about water and noise and just all of it, right? So I do look at this as an opportunity, though, and I hope you, are taking all the good notes tonight on our comments.
Yep.
We are going to have a site visit with you next Thursday at 6 o'clock. And I would, just again, a bit of advice, I guess. I would lay it on your contractors,
Oh, yeah.
your tenants, very strongly as to where this is at, because we're not here to threaten you, but the town has avenues to fine daily, and you're already not in compliance. So I think you're here, with a good mission in order, and I think we've got a ways to go. So
Okay, understood.
I'm going to ask. So our next meeting isn't until August 25th. Are you okay with a continuance to that date, or do you need more time than that?
That should be fine.
Okay. And we're going to go with a site visit next Thursday at 6 o'clock. So if I could get a motion to continue this application, please. Anyone?
I make a motion to continue this application until the August 25th meeting.
I've got
Second.
a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Very good, and we'll see you next Thursday.
Thank you for your consideration.
Clarification, Mr. Chairman, is that site visit open to the public or just the board?
It is not open to the public. Very good. And we will meet you at your property. Okay. Can I get a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Good night,
Night,
Danvers.
Danvers.
And thank you, neighbors.